The recent Alabama Supreme Court decision regarding the destruction of embryos that upheld the sanctity of life has Democrats looking to pounce, and some Republicans once again looking to play defense on the life issue. Run! The Alabama court's decision stems from a case to decide whether parents could sue the Mobile Infirmary Medical Center after their frozen embryos were destroyed at their facility. So what does the court decision actually say? All right, this involves a case with parents who had human embryos created through in vitro fertilization, and they were frozen. An incident occurred when an unauthorized individual wandered into the cryogenic nursery and through an unsecured door and removed several human embryos, causing their deaths. Now, the parents sued the IVF Center and the hospital for wrongful death under Alabama's Wrongful Death of a Minor Act, which has been in place since 1872. Okay? Now, the Supreme Court of Alabama ruled that under Alabama's Wrongful Death of a Minor Act, the definition of a child applies to all unborn children, regardless of their location, and this includes embryonic children created through IVF. Now, in allowing the parents of human embryos who were negligently killed to sue under Alabama law, the Alabama Supreme Court decision did not, okay, just so they're very clear, it did not ban IVF. No state legislature has attempted to ban IVF, nor has any bill been proposed in Congress that would ban IVF. Moreover, the court's decision concerned Alabama law and was not predicated on Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization, even though the case was mentioned. Now, in the days following this decision, several IVF clinics in Alabama have suspended their operations, citing their liability under the ruling. The Alabama Attorney General has since clarified that he does not intend to prosecute IVF providers or families based upon Alabama's Supreme Court decision. In addition, the Alabama state legislature may consider legislation to address this topic. So what's going on here? Joining me now to discuss this, Eric Johnston, president of the Alabama Pro-Life Coalition. Eric, welcome to Washington Watch.
Well, thank you for having me.
So, Eric, what did I leave out in that description of what took place at the Alabama Supreme Court? Anything?
No, you did a very good job summarizing what happened there. That Supreme Court case has sort of caught everyone by surprise. I was aware that for several years it had been going on, but when the decision was handed down Friday a week ago, it did shake up everything in the State House.
But there's a consistency here. I mean, if a child is a child, it is a child, whether it is in a frozen embryo form or whether it is in the womb.
Absolutely. We have a 2018 constitutional amendment that says the unborn child is entitled to all the protection of the laws in the state of Alabama. Of course, it is an Alabama issue. It's unique to Alabama. Other states that may have similar constitutional amendments may find themselves in the same place. But after Dobbs, when the idea of whether an unborn child is protected was sent back to the states, we had a Human Life Protection Act that prohibited abortion based on this 2018 constitutional amendment. Now, that protected children in utero, and what this court opinion does is it addresses children in vitro, which are two different locations where you may find an unborn child.
Right. But the issue here with the Supreme Court in Alabama was civil liability of the clinic that allowed this stranger just to kind of wander into this area where these frozen embryos were being destroyed. So this is not a criminal case. This is not saying that this is not outlawing IVF. This is saying that this is a child and the parents have a right to take civil action. Correct?
That's correct. It's a civil action. It has nothing to do with criminal law. We have a separate criminal law that addresses children in utero. We don't have a criminal law that addresses children in vitro. And so this was a damage case. And of course, no one should be immune totally from their acts. They should be responsible for any degree of culpability, whether it's intentional or wanton or even negligent acts.
So this is my take on it, Eric, and correct me if I'm wrong. You're a little closer to it, but the left, having had some success in 2022 on the abortion issue after the Dobbs decision, are seeing another opportunity here to scare Republicans into running away from a fundamental issue of the sanctity of human life.
Yes, I'm afraid that's true. Many of the Republicans are not as pro-life as they may claim to be, and these kinds of cases make difficult issues for them to address. Of course, this is unique because I'm not aware of any other time that this has been done or we've had to have a state law in question. And of course, IVF is something that many people support. Many people have had children who otherwise might not have children. It needs to be properly regulated, and that is really the crux of it, is it's not regulated. And so these IVF clinics have operated with impunity.
Right.
And I think in the end, we need to address their responsibility and how to regulate it, particularly in regards to leftover fertilized frozen eggs.
Right.
What do you do with those?
Right. There's many of them. In some cases, as you said, they're not regulated, and so there's oftentimes an abundance of these. A lot of them created, and there are millions of frozen embryos lying around the country. It is an issue that needs to be addressed, but not in the form that I think the left wants to address it. Eric Johnston, thanks so much for joining us today. I appreciate your insight.